for sticking around with us. And if you just joined us, this is Enterprise Morning, reaching you from Enterprise Television. Let's head to our main conversation for today. Amid escalating clashes between herders and farmers, 11 Nigerian states, including Lagos, Plateau, Ondo, Zamfara, and Anambra, have embraced the federal government's ranching initiative to reduce violence and modernize livestock management. Some have already allocated land and begun infrastructure development, while others are finalizing policies. States like Lagos and Anambra have laws prohibiting open grazing, with residents strongly backing ranching as a more secure and sustainable alternative. The move follows a deadly surge in attacks, including the killing of over 200 people in Benue State. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu blamed land grabbing for the violence and ordered immediate action from security agencies, while forming a peace committee of respected local leaders. As states align with the federal government initiative, officials in Lagos, Ondo, and Nasarawa confirmed ranch development is already underway, or land has been provided for the federal model. Despite growing support, residents remain. Some citizens and activists argue that ranching benefits private cattle owners and question why states should allocate public land for it. In Anambra and Lagos, critics voiced concerns over land use and economic priorities, urging the federal government to treat ranching as a personal business, not a national burden. Nevertheless, states and federal collaboration continues, with Plateau and Nasarawa leading in pilot projects to improve security and livestock practices. Barrister Vansofeli, thank you so very much for hanging on.
Very well.
Yes. So there's this viral video. I think I had the opportunity of watching it once or twice, where a Fulani young boy was stating the fact that every village that you see a Fulani herdsman for more than a month or so, that they have settled the community leaders in such places, and why they can graze freely in such places. Now, with this ranching thing, and given the culture and tradition of the people, which of course is they are gypsies, move around all around the place, do you think ranching is a sustainable solution, knowing that this is who you are, moving around is who you are as a person? I'm talking about the Fulani people now. Do you think it's possible for modernization to change culture?
It's possible. It's possible once there's legislation to that effect. Now, these states have proposed ranching, and the Fulanis have said that for us to be able to ranch, you have to give us land. From the Buhari regime, you have to give us land to do this. There's this school of thought that said that ranching is a personal business. Now, why should the state give public land to Fulani herdsmen or to herdsmen for farming and all that? But I think we've passed that argument. You know, I know it's a personal business, but looking at the insecurity this have caused, and looking at the fact that it's likely, the situation is likely to lead to further clashes that will lead to further loss of life, I think the state should give them land, but it shouldn't come free.
It shouldn't come free.
No, it shouldn't come free. They should pay for it.
Paying for it means they have the right to make use of it as they will, isn't it?
No.
Because when you pay for something, it means
there will be tenants.
Okay,
there will be tenants. There will be levies that will apply to that. Okay, because it's a personal business, and because it's a personal business that have grown into a monster, you need to tame that monster, bring them under considerable management, and let them pay for the lease of those places. So when we establish it and ask them to pay, it's when they refuse to pay and they are still doing their open grazing. That is when you have a law to not criminalize them. And I'm happy that many states have subscribed to it. But that land should not be free. It shouldn't be free, because these people are doing private businesses and they are making profits from those businesses. So they should be able to pay for facilities, for the factor of labor, which is land, which is part of land and other, the first factor of labor is land. Okay, they should be able to pay for it. Because you also have private businessmen who are doing businesses in the Fulani states or Fulani area or northern area and all that, who did not just go there and invaded the people and started doing business. They have to pay for shop, they have to pay for land, they have to, you understand, the same thing should apply in the south. So that is for those who are saying it's a private business, and I agree that it's a private business. But the fact that it's a private business and it's taking the lives of people does not mean we should leave it uncharted. We should leave it unregulated. So it must be regulated. And secondly, I don't think the conversation is even on farmer-herder clash any longer. I think the conversation seems to have gone beyond that. Because even though we've seen some videos recently where the herdsmen will be uprooting cassava, uproot cassava and cut it, you know, for their animals to feed on and all that, cassava that belong, just because they told us that they have paid those communities. How many of those communities do they pay? And even if they paid those communities, did they pay the communities so that the herders will harvest the crops
This crop that is not meant for
of
humans.
farmers? I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's the case. So the guy that made that video in the bush and saying, no, I think he's just being political with the situation.
But he might be speaking the truth.
Yeah, he might be speaking the truth, but his truth cannot be that they paid the leaders to harvest people's crops. That cannot be the truth at all. It's possible that some of the traditional rulers may have collected money from them for them to stay. It is not for them to harvest people's crops or to, you know, it's saying as if once community leader asks you to pay more than you pay, therefore anything you see in the bush anywhere is your own. You can have to feed your animals. That couldn't have been the case.
Now, given that, because lots of people are being theoretical with some of these solutions, ranching, we all know, is comes with so much. A large number of these people are uneducated. Ranching comes with lots of knowledge, education, scientific innovations, and all of that. Do you think it's possible? Do you really think this is a solution, especially for people that are uneducated?
Many of them will not be able to sustain it.
Exactly.
You know why? They are rearing this cattle animal for other persons, other entrepreneurs. Okay. If there's a law now that they should ranch them, when they ranch them, the herdsmen will need to do more than just keeping the animals in one place. You have to go and get the feed from wherever the feed is, and
Exactly.
yes, you have to look at their affairs. Of course, there are also going to be some bylaws that the state will put in place on some levies, on some tax and all of that. And because they are already used to open grazing
For free.
yes, they may begin to find it difficult to meet the demands of this cow, because the reason the cows are not making humongous demands is because they are moving from one place to the other. They move from one grass location to another grass location, from one to another. But when it is now prohibited, it is the herders that have to go from one grass location to the other to get the grass. What that means is that they need to get vehicles, they need to buy diesel, they need to employ labor to go and harvest the grass. Harvest the grass, not to harvest people's crops. Because this thing we are saying that the clash will end once you graze may not necessarily be, because we saw where they were harvesting people's land, giving it. Yeah. So if those cattle were to be in a place, someone who is mentally, unstable could go and start to harvest people to take to their destiny, wherever it is there. So I think the right conversation is to say, do not steal to feed your cattle. Do not take what does not belong to you. You can only cut grasses in the bush. You cannot get into somebody's farm to get items from the farm to feed. That the law should be that extensive. Otherwise, if we just think that it's just a clash, we may replicate the same problem within the solution we're trying to provide.
Exactly.
Yes.
True.
So the law must be explicit. Do not take whatever does not belong to you because you want to feed and all that. And the law should come with provision for vet. They should be inspected. You understand? This farm should be inspected by the council of the Ministry of Agriculture and all that, and the rest of that. Now the question you ask yourself is the herder ready to make room for all this thing to happen?
Very well, because the truth of the matter is we can keep going on and on,
Yes.
profiling, just like I said, theoretical solutions which are not pragmatic.
Are not pragmatic.
People can't even use them. The people under reference can't use them.
Cannot use them.
Yes.
Many of them are not even in school. They can't take instructions. So because there's no way you submit to government's plan without submitting to government regulation.
Very true.
And government will not just call you to submit to his plan without regulations.
A textbook example, Barrister, is the Kara market that we have close there. I love to believe that the Ogun State policy and regulation is very, very tough, that every herder in that market abides to every rule that have been placed there. They don't go beyond their stay. And you can see relatively there's been peace in that community.
Yes.
And people are having their way, they're making their money, people come by and all. But the question, the real question that I will have not answered is, if this is not a possible solution, do you think maybe applying the Kara model where states are a little bit tough on their rules, do you think that might solve the problem?
No, but you see this Kara model you just explained, you explain one part of it. You do not explain the other part. The Kara model is a mixture of both ranching and open grazing.
Ranching and open grazing.
Yes, when you come into the estate here, you see them, they graze.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, they graze.
Yeah, so it's a mixture
Oh.
of it. It's not a strict liability grazing strict liability ranching process.
But 80% of ranching, if you take a look at it,
yes,
they go bring in their grass and everything and feed their animals.
They bring in the feed even from the north.
Yes, exactly.
Like those trucks.
Yeah.
Bring in the feed from the north. Okay. Little wonder the economic value of the animals are quite high for those who patronize and all that. But within that same space, you see that the cattle are taken out for grazing. In fact, they take them out in the morning and then they bring them back in the evening. They take them out before we set out for work. By the time we're coming back from the work by 4:30, you meet them taking them back. You understand? Possibly they have been pieced there because of the mixture, and also because the Kara area is not a farmland. You don't really have farms within that settlement.
No, it's not. Yeah,
Yes.
it's more like a modern ranch kind of.
So because you don't have farm in that area, the story may not have been the same if the area is a farmland.
Okay.
The story may not have been the same. We can't use Kara as a case study for let's say Benue situation, for example, wherein there is an expanse of farmland with crops.
Because even before you gave this very important statement, now I wanted to ask, why then is it that even in this community that we've not seen any sort of issue or fracas between the herders and the local community here? And that's just because what you said, that we are not within a farmland area.
We're not within a farmland. It's an expressway, a dual carriageway where you have grassland in both sides. So they can graze around, no farmland, nobody's crop is being tampered on. In fact, sometimes motorists even complain, because that's part of the disruption. Yes. That point where the cattle, they are not feeding on crops because there are no crops around.
Yeah, exactly.
But they are blocking the way into the estate, even though momentarily.
Okay.
But within that moment, you see fine unease. Okay, even though the cattle around are so obedient that they follow through and all that, you can see the inconveniences too. But you know, for social life to be possible, there must be inconvenience here and there. here and there. I mean, we should have traffic. You have to be patient.
Yes.
For traffic to ease and all that. We could, in that case, you could curtail it. But if we use that one, say the whole country, farmland and all that, and because some of the herders are also bent on making sure that their cattle destroy people's deliberately.
Deliberately.
Yeah, because even in those farmlands, you know what we do is rotational agriculture,
cultivation.
shifting cultivation. They call it in agriculture. You farm here this year, from there you move to the next one. From there you move. So even within those farmland, there are grassland. So you can easily actually steer the cow to feed from grassland as against farmland. So they can actually do if they want to do. But why I won't say the conversation has gone beyond that is because now there are herders who don't even have cattle at all. They just have AK-47.
No, those are criminals then.
Yes, those are criminals. No, because they said the conversation is that herders and the ones that came in the night in Yalewata
Yes.
with explosives, AK-47 and fought the police to a standstill, began to kill the people and all that. Those ones have cattle.
But yet Allah has asked us to try as much as we can in our discourse to differentiate.
Yes, to differentiate them. Yeah, that is the right thing to do. That is what they too should be able to investigate and separate themselves completely from criminal gangs that may have infiltrated the group. They should do that. It's not enough to just say they should be separated. They too should look into the activities of their men and ensure that they are not infiltrated and they are not being given a bad name by criminals. That's what it is. The conversation will have to go from ranching to disarmament. You must disarm those who already have. Okay. From ranching to rustling. Because if there's no ranching, there will be no rustling.
Very true.
Yes. Sorry, I mean there's no open grazing.
Yeah.
If there's no open grazing, there will be no rustling. So let us ranch and do it well. Let the cattle be fed wherever it is they are. And let all the herders have to comply, because at the beginning it will not be easy for them. At the beginning, if they have to increase the cost of the animal and all that, because it now costs more to feed them and bring them to this thing, they can increase as long as we maintain peace in society. And that's what I think.
Very true. And lots of people have concluded that all of this education might want to start from the mosque, the schools, where these people go to. Because if there is no reorientation of the people on the need for ranching, on the benefit for it on their cattle and all, on their livestock, so they might really not get it. They might think, just like other regions have said, we have been marginalized. They might equally start telling that story. We have been marginalized.
Yes.
So do you think it makes any sense if in the future they say they have been marginalized?
No. They will not be. They are allowed to do their business, but what the government is saying that the business has to take a new shape because of the destruction and disruption that it causes. So in that way, they cannot be said they have been marginalized, because it is not a total ban on the activity, on the business activity, but it is a restructuring of it. And that restructuring is actually going to cost them more. Okay, because when they were doing open grazing, they don't pay for the grass that the animals are eating, even they're eating those grasses in people's land. So people don't mind. Okay. But now it's going to cost them to go and get those grasses. It's going to cost them money to buy feed. It's going to cost them a lot. Fueling and all that. So it's going to be an extra charge on them, which they must bear because it's a private business in the first place. The reason government is trying to regulate it is because of its potential to create an insecure society, a society where people have been killed and all that. That's the only reason government is coming to regulate it. Otherwise, government is not fixing the price of cattle.
Yeah.
Government is not fixing the price of feed or fixing the price of veterinary application of medication. What government is doing is to say that you have to curtail the movement of these animals, put them in stations, feed them there, sell them from there. Okay, do not take them across the road, do not disrupt vehicular movement, create traffic, eat people's crops, and at the end of the day, you now have crisis. That's only what government is against. So they have to obey government to be in business. And in the event that they refuse to obey the government, they cannot be in business. Government has to take action against them. It's as simple as that.
Very, very true. All right, that's just about the time we have. What we preach and hope for in a country like ours is peace. No matter whose ox is God, the most important thing is we want peace. We want peace, and we hope that this ranching thing, would be accepted by everyone, and hope that will bring the lasting peace that we want in Nigeria. Thank you so very much, Barrister.
It's my pleasure.
For being here. Truly do appreciate
Very
you.
well.
All right, people, that's just the time we have for today. We'd love to say thank you, but please do well to visit us if you may. You can always find us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. I am Henry Kwibike. Thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.